Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, we're taking a journey back in time, deep into the heart of what is now Virginia, to explore the world of the Powhatan Confederacy. This isn't just a story about Pocahontas or John Smith. It's the story of a powerful and sophisticated network of indigenous peoples, who shaped the very land and history of the eastern seaboard. So, grab a cup of tea, get comfortable, and let's dive into the rich and complex world of the Powhatan. Before the first European ships ever appeared on the horizon, the coastal plains of Virginia, an area known as Senakimaka, were home to a thriving society. This land was governed by a paramount chiefdom, what we now call the Powhatan Confederacy. But who were they, really? The term Powhatan originally referred to the town of the paramount chief, but it came to represent the entire alliance of about 30 Algonquian-speaking tribes. At its peak, this confederacy included an estimated 10,000 to 20,000 people. The leader of this powerful group at the time of English contact was Wahunsenaka, a name you might not recognize. History remembers him by his title, Powhatan. He was a brilliant political and military strategist. He inherited control over about 6 tribes, and through a combination of diplomacy, marriage alliances, and sometimes force, he expanded his influence to unite dozens of communities under his rule. This wasn't a kingdom in the European sense, with a king ruling by divine right. It was a more fluid system based on tribute, mutual defense, and shared cultural ties. Each tribe had its own chief, or Wero CE, who paid tribute to Powhatan in the form of goods like corn, deer hides, and copper. In return, Powhatan provided protection and distributed resources, ensuring the stability and prosperity of the entire region. Life in Senakimaka was intrinsically linked to the land and the changing seasons. The Powhatan people were expert farmers, hunters, and fishers. Their villages, often situated along the vast network of rivers, like the James, York, and Rappahannock, were perfectly placed to take advantage of the abundant natural resources. Their staple crop was corn, but they also cultivated beans, squash, pumpkins, and sunflowers in large communal fields. The women were the primary farmers, and their agricultural knowledge was the bedrock of the society's food supply. Men were responsible for hunting and fishing. They hunted deer, bear, and turkey in the dense forests, and used sophisticated weirs and nets to catch sturgeon, shad, and other fish from the rivers. Every part of the animal was used. Hides were tanned for clothing and shelter, bones were shaped into tools, and sinew was used for cordage. This deep respect for nature and the sustainable use of its resources was a core part of their worldview. Their homes, called yakins, were long houses made from bent saplings and covered with woven mats or bark. They were surprisingly spacious and well ventilated, designed to be cool in the summer and warm in the winter. Spirituality and culture were woven into every aspect of daily life. The Powhatan believed in a creator god and a host of other spirits that inhabited the natural world. Priests, known as Quiacosac, served as healers, advisors, and spiritual leaders. They conducted ceremonies and rituals tied to the agricultural calendar, such as the harvest festival, to give thanks and ensure the continued favor of the spirits. Music, dance, and storytelling were vital. They used drums, rattles, and flutes to create rhythms for their ceremonial dances, and oral histories were passed down through generations, preserving their laws, traditions, and the stories of their ancestors. This was the world the English colonists crashed into in 1607 when they established Jamestown. The initial interactions were a complex mix of curiosity, trade, and misunderstanding. The Powhatan, led by Wahunsenaka, were cautious. They saw the English as another potential tribe to incorporate into their confederacy, perhaps as a source of valuable metal tools and weapons. They provided the struggling colonists with food, which likely saved them from starving during their first brutal winter. However, the relationship quickly soured. The English had come not just to trade, but to stay. Their constant demand for food, their encroachment on Powhatan lands, and their fundamentally different views on property and ownership created immense friction. The colonists saw the vast, unfarmed forests as wilderness ripe for the taking, failing to understand that these lands were crucial hunting grounds and part of a carefully managed ecosystem for the Powhatan people. This clash of cultures led to a series of conflicts known as the Anglo-Powhatan Wars. These were devastating periods of violence that stretched over several decades. Despite the Powhatan's superior knowledge of the terrain and their skill in guerrilla warfare, they were ultimately at a disadvantage. The English had firearms, and more importantly, a continuous stream of new colonists and supplies from across the Atlantic. Diseases brought by the Europeans, to which the indigenous people had no immunity, also took a catastrophic toll, wiping out entire villages. One of the most famous figures from this era, of course, is Pocahontas, whose real name was Amanut. Her life has been heavily romanticized and distorted by popular culture. In reality, she was a young girl, a daughter of Wahunsenako, who played a role as an emissary between her people and the English. Her later capture, conversion to Christianity, marriage to John Rolfe, and journey to England were all part of a complex political landscape. While her story is fascinating, it's crucial to see it not as a simple romance, but as a small part of a much larger and often tragic story of cultural collision and conflict. After the death of Wahunsenako, his brother Opatankano took leadership. He was a fierce warrior who had witnessed the growing threat of English expansion firsthand. He led to major coordinated attacks against the colonists in 1622 and 1644 in a desperate attempt to drive them from Senekameka. While these attacks were initially successful in causing massive casualties, they ultimately failed to stop the tide of colonization. After the final war, the Powhatan Confederacy was effectively broken. A 1646 treaty forced the surviving Powhatan people onto small reservations and severely restricted their freedom of movement. The story doesn't end there, though. For centuries, the descendants of the Powhatan Confederacy fought to preserve their culture, their identity, and their communities in the face of immense pressure to assimilate. They faced discriminatory laws and policies that sought to erase their existence. For a long time, the state of Virginia even refused to officially recognize them, but they endured. Today, the legacy of the Powhatan is very much alive. Several of the original tribes that formed the Confederacy still exist as vibrant, sovereign nations in Virginia. Tribes like the Pamunkey, Mattaponi, Chickahominy, and Rappahannock continue to practice their traditions, speak their language, and fight for their rights. In recent years, many of these tribes have achieved federal recognition, a long overdue acknowledgement of their sovereignty and their immense contribution to the history and culture of this land. They operate cultural centers and museums, host powwows, and work to educate the public about their true history, moving beyond the simple myths to share the complex reality of their past and present. Learning about the Powhatan Confederacy is about more than just correcting the historical record. It's about recognizing the resilience and strength of a people who shaped this land for centuries before colonization and who continue to be an integral part of its story today. Their knowledge of the environment, their sophisticated political structures, and their enduring cultural traditions offer profound lessons. By understanding their world, we gain a much deeper and more complete picture of American history. Thank you so much for joining me on this deep dive into the world of the Powhatan Confederacy. I hope it gave you a new perspective on Virginia's indigenous roots. If you found this video interesting, please hit that like button and do UNT. Forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you do UNT miss our next exploration into history. Let me know in the comments what you found most surprising or what piece of history you'd like to see covered next. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.